But you really don't need to see my face, but I am here. I'm going to show you a little bit. Hi, you guys. I'm going to cut off this light a little bit and then get into what I want to talk about. Okay. So, um, lately I have been just trying to get myself together because I see things are changing. Not just for me, but things are changing around me. So you really want to just adjust and get yourself in alignment. You know, you can miss a lot of opportunities. There's always opportunities that are around us every, every single day, because God is still God. You have opportunities every single day, and we miss them. Sometimes we miss them because they're not for us. And other times we miss them because we're not prepared. And so I'm understanding that, and I also understand that, you know, there's a true enemy out here, and his main plan is to kill, steal, and destroy. So if he can't take you out, he's gonna make you be delayed, so that you can't get to what you need to get to. And one of those things, how it happens, is to get you out of alignment, meaning that you're not prepared to receive what is coming to you and for you. Okay. And this has been happening to me with a lot of distractions. I'll get ready to go do something like going to work, flat tires or something. Um, Going to go speak at an engagement the night before. I have to have paper signing, everything. I have those all taken care of. And but excuse me, it takes so long. I have it all taken care of, but it takes so long that it gives me less time to sleep. So then I get up and I don't have enough sleep. You know, so I might get there, but I'm not at my best. You know, this was happening to me. I remember I went on a assignment, and I knew I was supposed to have this assignment. I prepared and everything, but the night before, y'all, my face broke out. My face broke out of the blue. My hands, I was supposed to show my hands and use my hands and everything, and they were supposed to, do things with my hands. I could not do any of that because my hands was breaking out. I never had a hand rash at all. I didn't dip my hand in anything the day before or days before. And so, hi there, Hudson. I hope I said that right. Hudson Locke. So I had to, I started seeing it, and I was like, what's going on? You know, I would go and have a meeting to meet with other people to help my business. You're right. How's your day? So far, it's okay. Thank you for asking. So I would have, these meetings to go to and assignments, and it would be like the night before. Things would go so haywire. I started preparing myself weeks ahead of time. This is how I knew, this was an attack. This was an attack of the enemy, okay? And it'll be at the last minute. I mean, all kind of stuff is happening that you wouldn't even imagine happening. My partner that I was supposed to go in with, all of a sudden they get sick. It wasn't like they were back, and they got sick to the point they're like, I never get sick. They're blue, just all kind of stuff. And so having this happen over and over, you're like, okay, God, what am I going to do? You want to still stay in the fight, and you still want to keep going. And you're like, what am I supposed to do? And I had to take a deep breath and understand that sometimes you really have to do what is important at that moment. Meaning you have to look at your next step. Okay. Because if you look at everything around you, and when you look at all the chaos that is around you, sometimes you can get overwhelmed. I used to actually like chaos, y'all. I used to oh, thank you. So I used to have a lot of chaos growing up, living with family members, and a lot of obstacles that came behind that. Having a mother who was incarcerated, and dealing with that, a lot of the struggles, being teased as a kid, just a lot of issues. I had a lot of chaos going around. It was very chaotic. It wasn't the average. I thought it was the average because people around me were talking about similar things. But when I got into the real world, I found out that the things that I was going through, the things that I had experienced weren't normal. But I had learned to navigate and to get how to operate through chaos. And basically it's just getting into what they call the eye of the storm. You know how they have a hurricane and or a tornado. And you get in the middle, and the middle is the calmest part. It's everything that's around it looks really. Yes, I'm in a dark room. I explained a little bit before. Thank you. But you don't need to see my face. You can just hear the words. My face kind of doesn't matter at this point. But if you get into that storm, in the eye of the storm, it's really, really calm. Even though, you know, you have all these winds and everything is turbulent outside of the tornado, but when you get in that eye, it's very focused and it's calm. It's actually calmer than the winds that are around outside of the tornado. And that's the same way that I noticed how I was able to navigate and succeed in the everyday things that I did in life. Okay. And that's just growing up. I started focusing on what was my next step. I might not be able to change what I want to change right now, but what am I able to change that is in my power that can make me get closer to my goal? Okay. And so when these problems begin to arise, I had to really recenter and refocus and to think about that one step at a time. Sometimes life can really come against you really, really hard, especially when you're getting on that precipice of breakthrough. When you get on that precipice of breakthrough. And so if you try to do a lot of things at once, or you try to fix a lot of things at one time, you can burn yourself out. I've seen this happen time and time again. And I've also seen that with myself, to the point where you never make it to your desired goal. Okay. And so for me, what did I do during this time is just look at what can I do right now. So, and that has helped me. That has helped me. The other thing, by doing this, by just focusing on one thing, it slows your mind and your thought process down to the point that you're able to refocus and recenter your things, your eyes on things that you weren't originally able to see, and things that you weren't originally looking at. Okay. When I was going through these trials and things like that, and even going through them now today, when I stopped and I recentered and I refocused, and I just said, okay, what can I do right now in this moment? Not what can I do in the future? What can I do in the next 5 minutes? What can I do in the next hour, the next day? What can I do right now that's going to make this situation better? And I took that step. I began to have relief. Okay. Then I was able to do the next step, and the next step, and the next step. And it showed me, like I said, once I started slowing down, I was able to look at things that were the smaller things that were hindering me, that was giving foothold for other things to happen. Okay. So say for instance, I'm looking at, okay, say for instance, it's a school project, right? And I've got 5 days to get all 10 days of homework done because I procrastinate, right? And you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like, you're looking at, if you look at the whole thing and you like, I gotta do all this, and you don't break it down in small steps, you're gonna be less able. You're gonna be have a least you're gonna have a weaker chance of obtaining the goal of completing all your assignments. Versus if you say, what do I need to do right now? Which one is the most important? Can I knock out one that will help me get done, or that will just knock it out the way? And sometimes that might be the heaviest. Other times it's the smallest. I know for me, if it's something really, really huge, for me, I always go with the larger assignments, if it's something with school. I know other people say go for the smaller ones because it builds up your confidence to get the other ones done. But with my personality style, I like to do the larger ones, because once I get the larger ones out, it's like the easy ones seem like they're a piece of cake, even though it's the same distance. And so those are the things that I saw. Okay, when I slowed down, I was able to get tasks done, but I was also able to see that the situation that I thought was so big wasn't so big at all. The assignments that I had that were coming to me, the projects that I wanted to do, even though they're overwhelming and there's a lot of distractions, when I took it one step at a time and I did the smaller things by focusing and recentering, it helped me a lot. One scripture in the Bible, it tells you this about focusing on the small thing. Focus on the things that matter right then, okay? 2 of them actually, because it tells you don't think about what you about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. You focus on today, the present, okay? The other thing is to oh my goodness. The other thing is to what is it? Oh yeah, if it was talking about, if you are diligent over a few things, I will make you ruler over many. Okay? So someone who is most of the time that's wealthy, they have to be very diligent. They have to be diligent in obtaining and keeping keeping wealth and money, okay? And wealth does not always pertain to the physical currency that we're seeing, okay? And this is why a lot of people are freaking out now, because they're like, oh yeah, things are changing. They are changing. I think they're honestly changing for the better. But they're saying, oh yeah, the currency is changing, but you have to understand that currency is a secondary source. Our primary source is energy. It's the flow of energy. Okay, and that's why we call our paper dollars and whatever we use as currency. It's the flow. Currency. It's the current. It's the flow. Okay, and so just looking at that and understanding that from a biblical perspective, I was able to say, okay, now I understand this process, because when you are in total and true alignment with the Creator, He will make sure that you're ready to receive what is about to be given. Okay? Meaning that if you want to be wealthy or you want to have a lot of things, you have to know how to take care and how to upkeep things. And not only that, how to upkeep things when things are turbulent, how to navigate situations. Dealing with wealth, you also have to have a level of diplomacy. You have to know how to make connections, and valuable connections. Okay, how do you navigate through the world? Even if you had old money, you have to have connections and know how to navigate. Okay, you have to know how to speak, how to talk, how to go through situations, and how because you want to be able to keep what you've been given. Okay, and so that's what I've learned. That's what I've learned lately. It's not always about the big things. People always want to talk about, especially with money. I always try to do this as relevance of dealing with money or currency, because it's the easiest illustration of this. Because people are like, oh yeah, I got $5,000 or I made $10,000 in one day. And it's like, okay, that sounds good. That sounds great. But most people don't know how to keep it because they have poor spending habits, or they when they have issues or obstacles come in their way, they don't know how to think financially smart. to the point where they can still have their funds. They might have to use them, but how to use your funds in the best way to get the maximized result or the maximized dividends of what you have. And so that's what I wanted to share with you guys. It's not always about the big things. It's about the small things, because when you take care and you do right of the small things, you always get rewarded with bigger things. Okay? You always get rewarded with bigger things. The second thing, and this goes hand in hand with this, because I was talking about how do you multiply things that are coming around you, and that's being diligent, but this diligent with the assets and the things that you are given by God, which is even friendships, things like that. But the second is to guard yourself, yourself, because during this journey, I've learned that there are a lot of people who see how much I'm focused on obtaining my goals. Some people watch you. Okay, I did not believe that. I'm like, why would they even watch somebody like me? Why would somebody want to watch me? I'm a corny little goofball person, but to other people, people can see your gifts. People can see your anointing, whether you know it or not. And every single person on this planet has a gift and an anointing. They really do. That's why you're here. Okay, and there are people who can literally see this from you. They might not intentionally want harm from you, but most people want to take advantage of it, want to see how they can maximize this. Okay. Sometimes this happens. I've had this happen at work, where I've had a couple of bosses, and bosses that were bosses above me. It was my boss or my boss's boss or something like that, in that perspective, that would, see that I had a gift, and instead of trying to nurture it and feed it and make it blossom, they would try to use it and not use it for their gain, and not try to feed back into me to replenish. I remember I was at this organization, and I'd already did case management, and it was a nonprofit. I'd already did case management and things like that. And when I got there, they said, oh yeah, we don't have this position. We don't have that position open, but we have a care attendant position. And so because of the organization, I was like, I don't have a problem with this. I'm going to give it 6 months. And I had already made it in my head, because I knew what I was capable of and how I could, what I needed to do in any situation, in any scenario, whether I needed to leave the job or I wanted to build up. And my whole goal there was to try to build up. And I said, I know I have the tools. I studied, so I was like, okay, I could do this, and wait until the opportunity comes. So the opportunity came, and I fell for the position, and I didn't get the position. However, they wanted me to do the same exact job with the same exact job that they gave to somebody else who wasn't qualified, that they gave the position to, because they felt that they were qualified. Let me take that back, because obviously they had to be qualified in their eyes, because they hired them for that position, and it's decided to keep me at the position that I was at. However, they wanted me to train that person. And that was just so crazy. And I'm sitting here like, why would I do that when you have other case managers where you can do that and have them to train them, because they're already in the role. I've never been in the role at your company. I've just been showing you guys new things and the things that I learned while being at different companies, how I learned how to better be more resourceful to the people that I serve, and I don't try to hide that, because especially with case management or anything you're dealing with people, you do not want to be a hindrance. It's different from another job, because you're dealing with people, and you don't want to be a hindrance to people who are on a downslope or people who need your assistance. The main goal for case management is to help someone propel and to get better and to get into a better position. And so if you don't have that in mind, if you don't have that mindset, you're not gonna get yourself prepared. You're not going to go and take classes and things like that. And me, I already knew, if I'm serving people, I want to have the best knowledge. I have to constantly learn, because there's things that even though they might have been here and they've been here for a minute, I don't know. I don't know. We don't know everything. And I'm the first one to say I know a little bit about a little. Okay? I know a little. And there's a whole bunch out there, a whole heap of information that you can learn and grasp. And you're never too old to learn. You're never too smart to learn. You're never too dumb to learn. Learning is essential, because if you don't learn, if you don't expand yourself, you will not grow. And so I was doing that. I was like, I don't care if I'm not in that position. Now, I go and teach that lady all? No, I did not. I just told them, declined, and told them that I couldn't do it. I didn't even tell them that maybe they should go with another case manager that they have. I didn't tell them that because it wasn't my position. I just told them that I wouldn't be doing that, and stayed in my lane. When you stay in your lane, that can help you a lot, especially when you see things like this. A lot of people talk about staying in your lane when you're trying to overhelp, and people will be like, oh, well, I didn't ask you that, and that's true too. But in this case, it's even more. Okay. But they would try to do that. Not only that, they would say, okay, well, I want you to help and I will pay you a little extra to teach her this or teach the new case manager this. But when it was time to go and take the classes that they had paid for the company to take, I was always off the list. Everybody else could join in. People who weren't even case managers can join in and get these extra workshops and these things for certifications and the CEUs, the continuing educational credits units that you need to go ahead and do anything like that. And my thing is not in social work, it's behavior analysis, but I've done case management. So because it's a psychology field. But anyhow, doing that, they would not give it to me. They would not even have me to go and do the training. And so, I took it upon myself to say, okay, I know that I'm going to need this later on, so I will pay out of pocket to make this thing happen, and so, and that's what I did. I didn't trip because I know what my assignment, what my goal is, and long story short, it didn't work out. I was like, how do I navigate through that? And I literally had to just keep working on myself while I was in that process. Now, the good thing about it was that job was connected. Even though it was a non-for-profit, the reason why I joined that was because the whole entire city was connected to that organization. That organization is known way far out. I mean, they raised like so much funds, is ridiculous, and it's a non-for-profit. They raise millions, and it's helping people who are on the street. Okay, so, and I mean, they raise millions within the switch, the call. Like, they can call somebody here, and the funds are there, so that's why I'm saying connections. There, I met so many connections that I knew I couldn't meet at any other non-for-profit. There, even getting that opportunity and just having that foot in there helped me get to the next place, which was another non-for-profit that I ended up writing a book for. And it was an instructional course for. And so I was grateful for the situation, but I had to think about it. Had I thought about me not getting that position and freaking out about that, I wouldn't have been able to pivot and to keep myself focused on getting myself prepared for the next step in my life. Okay, without me, not freaking off and getting off on the deep end, like, okay, I didn't get this and forget them, they did me wrong, and going in, I really had to humble and buckle down and say, okay, what is my next step? And my next step was, I'm going to go ahead and get my education anyway. I'm going to go ahead, even if I got to pay out of pocket. See, and God sees that everything is spiritual before it's physical anyway. And he sees that. God really does see that, y'all. And when you put that stuff into work, people will start noticing, excuse me, y'all. People will start noticing, and they'll take a liking to you. And that opened another door for me, which opened another door, which opened another door. And it all happened because I thought about the next step. What is my next step? And so, don't forget about that. So the other one I was talking about was how people would try to use you. And that was a situation at work that they did try to do that. But you still have to know your next step. And then the other thing that I did was, if y'all didn't hear it before, I pulled back. I didn't jump in and say, okay, I will help her and train that person, even though it sounds like it's good. But you have to think of something like, think of it like this. If somebody thought that you weren't capable of doing what you, for an assignment, for a job, why do you think that you should be training that person? Okay. And if that is true, and that means that if what I'm saying is true, and they're saying that I am qualified to train that person, then why haven't they opened up a position that's higher for me so that I can be the actual supervisor of training? Because they were creating jobs, they were creating roles, but they never did that. They just wanted me to go and stay in the same role and not only do her task, but do my own duties that I already had, which was overwhelming. They would like try to pile up things on me. They would try to do that, and a lot of times they were trying to do that to make me quit, because I was on the men's side of the organization instead of the women's side. I was like one of the first females to be on that side, working face-to-face contact with the males. And so yeah, you have to just think about that. You have to protect yourself. Don't let anyone try to take your light or dim your light or move your light, try to shift your light. They try to dim your light, they try to move it into a whole nother space so they can put you out of the way. You might have to stay at the job. I stayed at that job for actually 2 more months than I actually expected. I gave myself 6 months. I think I stayed like 8. By then I had already got recognition. People had already taken attachments to me. One of the members of the board and one of the members of the foundation, that's on the foundation board, they really took a liking to me. They saw that the projects and the things that I were bringing up, and they could see that it was good points, but people weren't ready to experience it then, or they didn't like it coming from me, but they still took a liking to me, and they started mentoring me. I started getting openings and invites to other events and things like that. And so that was the way, and that was the best way for me to do it. I know there's other ways for other people to do it, but sometimes it's no other way. Sometimes you have to stay in that position. I stayed in that position until I left, and then blossom out, and then ended up with the book, and then ended up with this, and then ended up with all the other things that came with it. And so don't get discouraged. Another thing about protecting yourself, people will see you. I said this before. People will can see your light, and they know that you're going to do good things. Even if they don't know what light is, even if they don't know what light is, they don't know favor. They don't know what favor is. They don't know what anointing is. They don't know what calling is. They don't even have to know what a gifting is. They just know it's something good about you, and something good is going to happen. And they can see by how you act, how you go around, and things like that. And these people will try to cling to you. And I will say this, sometimes that's not always bad, because sometimes we are called to be reporters. And what reporters do, they point out the truth. True reporters point out the light, and show the light to other people who don't know about it. And so that's one of the giftings of a reporter. And we're all reporters, whether we consider large or small scale. So that's not always a bad thing. What is bad is when there will be some people who will come and see your light and will try to distract you and try to derail you, or try to put out your light or switch out your light as if it's their own, not understanding that it's not going to it's not going to flow the same way if they try to steal something from you. And a lot of people will try to do this. They'll try to imitate you, not understanding the struggle that you went through to get to where you at. A lot of people will misuse you. I had a person recently. I'm going to tell you guys this situation because it really cracked me up. So I had this lady who came into my home. She came into my home to do an inspection. And so, and I know y'all like it wasn't a regular inspection, but it was an inspection for the house to make sure it wasn't cracks and things like that. So the day that the person came, they told me that they were coming on a certain day. They didn't come on that certain day. They didn't even come on that week. They came a whole week after. So by the time they came, I was out of it. You know, I had just got off of work. Hours had changed. Yeah, I had just came from work. The day before that, I was out of town. I was out of town with my dog. We went to a conference, came back, had to go to work like within 2 hours of getting home. So I didn't even, when I got off the road, I went straight to work. I didn't even shower or anything. I didn't smell bad, but I came back, whatever, and did that, went to work. When I got finished, I didn't even exercise. I took my shower, walked my dog, and I went to sleep. Now, during this time, when the person came, it was it's, you know, pageant time. It's pageant time. It's prom season. A lot of those amazing pageants for the people with like developmental disabilities. They have pageants like that. That was happening. Now every year I try to make a dress or to make a costume or something to give to you know, a female who's in that pageant, so that they can have something, you know, that's my way of giving back. So they can have something nice. They don't have to spend they don't have to spend anything actually, because I'd pay for the whole thing. I just do their measurements and I get to work. You know, I try to go get something creative. They'll tell me what they want. And I try to do that and go above and beyond as much as I can with the small budget that I have. And I do that. And so, so when the inspector came in, she began to, I didn't even know she had walked all around my house. Because usually they knock on the door, they tell you, hey, blah, 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 I'm the inspector. Then they'll have a walk around outside. They'll go inside. They'll do a lot of stuff like that. And I know that because I'm a notary loan signing agent. So, and so that didn't happen. She had already went outside, went around. She was inspecting my flowers, the plants that I had. I had made this waterfall, you know, like a fountain that you can get from like Menards, but I have a YouTube channel where I make stuff DIYs on it. So I made a fountain. I love making different things, especially fountains in the summertime, because I like to do it, the little small ones, you know, just enough to be on the floor outside. So I had made a concrete one. And so she began to comment on it and things like that. And also that I had paper on one of my patios, because I had spray painted a chair, and it was like I was putting a clear coat on it. And so I'm like, okay, I didn't even think you were coming. So, okay. So I opened the door, I let her in. This lady is like, oh, talk about, oh, my house is just filled, you know, it's a lot of fabrics on one end of the wall. She can't look at this wall because it's so much stuff, it's so much junky. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, okay, well, I can understand that. Well, just let me know a time where you can come in so that you can properly inspect the walls, because like everything is on a rack. It's like racks on racks on racks. So I have to move it, because not only do I do, you know, make stuff for other people, I make stuff for myself, stuff for my dog, stuff like that. And so I was able to move it. The other inspector was like, no, that's fine. We can see everything. He's like, it's not that big. Like, we can tell that you're a decorator. And the lady just kept like going in, and she kept talking about, oh, how my dog was, because my dog started barking at her. She wouldn't bark at anybody else, and usually my dog barks at men, because that's a whole nother story. But she didn't bark at the guy. She barked at her, really just kept barking, you know. Didn't go by her. She wanted to go pick her up. My dog is very small, and so she's imperial, what they call imperial Shih Tzu, but she's only like, what, 5 pounds, 7 if she's like really heavy. And that's like heavy with fur. And so she was saying all this stuff and how my dog was so undisciplined. Y'all tell me why. And I'm like, my dog is sitting there and I'm like, okay, this lady is trying to come out with the insults. And I just nipped it politely, like, is in the butt, like, is there anything else that I could, assist you with? What else do you need to, so you could see whatever? I didn't complain and say, well, you should have been late, because I wasn't going to add fuel to the fire. That was my next step. So she left, right? And the guy's like, okay, he goes for the appraisal or whatever. And y'all, this lady, I did not even know that this lady even lived in my neighborhood. This lady lived in my neighborhood. The adjuster, the inspector, she lived in my neighborhood. So she comes back a couple of days later and asks me, can I watch her dog? Okay? Can I watch her dog? After she said all this bad stuff about me, y'all. All this bad stuff about my dog being untamed and all this other stuff and unkept, which I knew, was fictitious. I understand it now, because at first, I don't know if it's because I'm autistic or what, but at first I would have been like, okay, well, because I think anything is possible and I'm not above anyone. When someone says something to you, you want to look for validity. You want to see if it's valid. Is this something that is actually true? And why things might be it could happen, but it might not be true. It might not be true for you. And I started seeing that it wasn't true for me. As a matter of fact, this person actually liked how my dog responded to her. She liked how my dog was sitting. She started explaining how she liked my dog, how she wouldn't come to each other, and she liked how my dog was able. She was surprised. I don't know, how can you be surprised? She was surprised that my dog was able to do tricks and stand and to do stuff on command. And it's like, okay, there's many dogs who can do that. So I already knew that she didn't really think highly of me. That's what it really stands for. But that was okay. But she really was just doing it. And I was just like, no. I told her no. And not only that, she was watching me the whole time, me going to work, telling me, oh, she see me going to work at this time and at that time. You're a real hustler. You're a person that does this. Now, I don't even go down the street to go and super help. I'll talk to my neighbors and everything, but this person is not a close neighbor, but this person lives down the street to the point where I can, like, I wouldn't even known that she stayed there, but she can definitely see me getting on my back porch. She can see all of that. She can see the side and the front. So I was just like, wow. And how I knew was because she told me, oh, I see you all the time. You really take care of your dog. You really love your dog. You really do this. You really do that. And so I was like, no, but this person just kept trying to come by me. And not only, every time they would come by me, they would try to throw little shots. She threw shots about my chair. Oh, yeah, I see you just really want to stand out. You want to put your chairs blue. And why couldn't you be like everyone else with black or white or beige or cream or tan chairs? And I'm sitting here like, oh, okay. And I just said, okay. I didn't answer it because, I already knew this was a bait and switch thing. So I wasn't going to go into it. I wasn't going to go deep into it with her and let her have it. But I'm telling y'all, based off of that, I knew right then that there are people, and this happens a lot. This is what you have to be careful of before it gets to the larger things, because usually I wouldn't be able to pick this up. But now I'm able to do it after time and time again of having it. Sometimes you got to fall on your face 12,000 times. But I'm trying to tell y'all this so you don't have to. Okay? So you don't have to. But I learned that some people will try to tear you down. They like what you have. They're trying to tear you down so that they can do the same thing. And you know what this lady did? She told me that my colors were too bold and too big and too much with my blue and orange. And you know what she did? Guess what she did, y'all? She went and got her patio set the same doggone way. The whole time she told me that she was watching me put my plants out, and she didn't have a green thumb like I did, and all this other stuff, and blue, blah. So she got these fake plants that look exactly like my plants, okay? Not only that, she ended up talking about she's going to start buying fabric so she can learn how to do clothing, okay? And that's like, oh my goodness, that's so weird. It is weird, y'all. But at this point in my life, it's not bothering me because I see this time and time again, and you'll think something is wrong with you, or you're being mean when you don't want to have anything to do with people who are like this, because they come off at the beginning as friendly, but they're always trying to get close to you to throw jabs at you. Okay, and this is what this lady would do. Not only that, she put her dog on dog. She brought her dog over one day and was like, oh, I gotta leave. Oh, can you watch? I'll be right back. And I was like, no. And she drove off and left. And I started to call the emergency people, call the animal patrol. But I didn't. I was just like, I don't want a animal to go through, that kind of dealings. Animals really do have feelings too. And not only that, I don't want to put that animal through that kind of stress. If their owner can do that to them, you can tell that they abandon them a lot. It's already abuse. So I didn't want the animal to feel like, it wasn't loved or cared for. But at the same time, y'all gotta watch out for people who are like this. And this person, it doesn't mean like you're being, like I said, mean or anything like that. It's you guarding your emotions. They will try to get you into your head, get you in your emotions so that you can step out and they can collect that energy. And once you knock down, they're going to try to do the same thing that you're doing and pretend as if they've been doing it the whole time. A lot of people will do this. Okay. And you have to stay on your square. If you stay constant and you stay diligent on what you're doing, you don't even have to worry about them. Even if they mimic you, people are going to start catching on. They're going to start catching on, and they're going to start seeing the truth for what it is. And that's what you need to do, because the moment that you fall off is the moment that more people can sit there and doubt you. Because in reality, they're not really doubting you. Those people who talking sideways and they talking crazy and they're talking down to you, and even the enemy, when he comes to kill, steal, and destroy, he's not doubting you. He's not doubting you. He knows what you're capable of doing. And that's why you're getting attacked. That's why you're getting attacked by some of these people. Okay. So you will have this. Another reason people will do this is because they don't know their own light. They don't know. They see something good. They want to have something good for themselves, but they haven't taken the time to tap into themselves, because they're not staying in the eye of the storm. When they have their obstacles and things, and the wind starts blowing and they have chaos going around them, they're going to and fro. They're not taking the time to step back and reassess and reevaluate the situations that are around them. And because of that, and they seeing you be calm, now they feel like they need to go rev it up, because they going through some stuff. They going through some hard times. So why should you? Or they see you going progress and you making progress on top of progress on top of progress on top of progress. And they like, how is this happening for you and not happening for me? Not understanding, if you water your own grass, if you take the time to find out what's knocking you down and stop focusing on everything and everybody else, things will get better for you. Things will get better. I had to learn that for myself. Sometimes, and it wasn't to a point where I was trying to knock somebody down. It would be to the point where I want to fix everybody because I wanted somebody to help me during my times of struggle. But what I learned during the struggle is that when it was time for me to get assistance and time for me to get help, a lot of those people who were willing to help other people that I seen that, always talking about they're always willing to help, they were nowhere to be found, or they downplayed me and talked really bad towards me and said, oh, you should have did this, when someone else could have more than you, and they drop down less and they try to break their necks to help them, or they have little and they're not even trying to pursue and do things right, and they fall down and help them. Okay. And so this is what I was just coming across. This is what was happening. So I had to work on not looking at watering everybody else's grass. It's all about self-preservation first. If I don't take care of myself first, okay, and I'm not saying being selfish, because it is a land of people being selfish because they've been hurt and they don't know how to properly balance, giving off their time and energy and things like that. So then they feel like, oh, I gotta go, I'm gonna cover my gifts and protect everything and hide, and you not getting nothing. I'm not helping you even in your time of need. I'm not helping. I'm not that. Not that. It's just learning when to give, when to be out, and when to pull away. Y'all, hold on. I needed some air because I was like, I didn't I'm sorry, y'all. This will be out in a minute. But when to give and when to pull away. Okay? When to give and when not to give. When to pull away. Okay? Because these people will see that, and you will get into harm's way. People, like I said, they will use you. They will use your body. They will use your intellect. People will use your beauty. Okay? They'll do a lot of things. They'll do a lot of things. I could probably write a book on what people have done to me in the past and how I had to learn this situation firsthand, you know. And it might sound like it's bad, it might sound hurtful, but just learning that the true balance of things, because we're not supposed to be helping or doing something for people when they can do it for themselves. You can assist that sometimes, but you can't overextend yourself to the point of that person not being productive for themselves. You know, you're supposed to help them in times of need, not in times of laziness or times of not completing or doing what they need to do. Okay? And you have to remember that those same people will do the same thing to you. They will do the same thing to you when they come up. They won't appreciate. You could tell the difference. You can tell the difference from someone who is changing, really put in work, or who wants to put in the work, or who has the heart to try to do that. You will see it by their fruits, by their actions, how they do things, how they take care of not only themselves, but how do they take care of the people that are around them? How do they find that balance? Okay? All right? And a lot of people don't know that they, one of the reasons why they don't get jobs or promotions is because they're helping people all willy-nilly, all everywhere, you know, instead of holding back. Okay? Because it's like, why should I? If you're getting this for free, why would you want to pay for something you're already getting for free? That's a double subscription, you know? And that's how a lot of people feel. Okay? All right? So just think about that. Think about that the next time that you are going through situations that are similar to this. You know, chaos can be around you. Things are going to happen. Life happens. Okay? God is not going to try to put and give you something that you're not able to attain. The enemy will. The enemy will. There's a lot of people who say, oh, they a millionaire or they make a lot of money, and they barely can keep a good amount of money in their account. They're spending just that much. Okay, so it doesn't even count. It doesn't even count. You know, currency deals with debt, your debt ratio. Oh, excuse me. Your deals with your debt ratio, meaning that it's dealing with what your expenses are versus what you actually have in left out of your expenses. That's why you see people are able to be approved. You be like, what? They only got this mediocre job, and I got this job, and I'm making this amount, but you got all these bills to pay, and this person has no bills, and they want this car, and they can get it because they got no bills, and the only bill that they have is the car note. Okay? Only bill that they have is the car note. Okay? And so, yeah. What is your next step? What is your next step? Okay? What is your next step to progress? What is your goals, and what is your next step that you have to do? Don't look at the big thing. The big thing will eventually come. Okay? That is true. If you are diligent over a few things. When you want to lose weight, another thing about this, like this. If you wanted to lose weight and you just start at the beginning and you, okay, I'm going to do this run. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to eat clean. I'm going to do this. Will you lose the weight? Yes. Okay. Will you keep it off? The only way that you're going to keep it off is by the small things that you do, the constant habits that you do. Are you snacking on candy every single day after you done did all this hard work? You done cleaned out your intestines. You done seen all the worms. You done seen all the tapeworms. You done seen all the parasites. You seen all that, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, right? It's unhealthy. And you go back, this is what it is called in the Bible, going back to your own vomit. Okay? So you're gonna go back afterwards, after you did all that, you lost all the weight. And afterwards you getting the accolades, you felt good because that was your end goal. Okay? And you go back to your regular lifestyle. You go back hanging around the same people who do the same things. They don't care about their health. They saying, oh, I ain't gonna never get better. It's just how life is. I ain't gonna never get healthy. I'm never gonna get better. Guess what? You might not say it. You might believe something different, but your reaction by staying by them is a confirmation of saying that I believe them. I'm in agreement with them. And most of the time when people do that and they don't get away from them, guess what? They go back to their old habits and they get big. And this time they even get bigger. And some people like that because they want you to suck. Okay? They don't want you to get better. They don't want you because they seen all that hard work. They might have said congratulations at the beginning, but after a while, they're going to start treating you different. It always happens. It always happens. Okay? And not one time have I seen not happen unless that group or those people begin to change themselves. And even during that dynamic, sometimes they're going to start, despising you then because you decided to do that before them. Or the person who did it before despised the other person because now they saw the all they had to do was focus, and that person is in tunnel vision. That's how it should be, really. The other person in tunnel. I've seen this person do it, so I know I can do it. And they get to busy, they get to work. But yeah, a lot of people are like that. You can't do the same things. When you become diligent, you're able to look at the small things that you are doing and make reasonable changes. And keep doing those small habits. Time and time again, it will show the results. Everybody wants these fast microwave results. But if you're not able to compute it, and I'm one of those people who I can start something right off the whim like that. It's been a little bit difficult just because I've been stressed out the last, I want to say, year or two. But for the most part of my life, I can drop something and be like, okay, this is not for me. I'm done. And or I can pick up something and say, okay, I'm going to do it. And so that's good for me. But for most people, that's not the case. That's not the case. We are creatures of habit. And if your mindset is not, and I think that's because I'm a risk taker too, but if your mindset is not in that frame of I have to change and remember, and understanding that you changed your patterns, and this is why you're getting the results that you're getting, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And it's not gonna be able to be stabilized. It's not gonna be able to hold. Okay? And that's what you want to do. You're going to protect it at all. That means protecting at all costs. You're worrying about the small things, but you're protecting your assets. You're protecting what you have at all costs. So then you see the constant and you understand the consequences of not being healthy. You can't, you don't have as much energy. You don't get to do the same things that you're doing. If you're getting older, it's going to be tougher the older you get. You see the consequences. You can't fit in the same clothes. You only can wear a certain amount of clothes, amount of clothes. You got to pay more money to go get bigger clothes. People don't respect you or do, they don't respect you, or they treat you a little bit different than you are heavy. People don't try to talk about that, but that happens. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to get heavy for a minute while I was doing a lot of things, because that's a whole nother story. But yeah, people treat you different when you're heavy versus when you are at a healthier weight or fit. Okay. What else? Your mindset changes. So now you're thinking different because you're eating different. Let's go for a walk. When I'm stressed out, let me go for a walk and not go watch Netflix all day or binge You know, and that was one thing I had to catch myself on when I was getting heavier. Look at the people that are around you. What are they doing? That person that was around me, thank goodness, that light would not go off, y'all. They were watching Netflix a lot. They were watching a lot of the TV shows. And for me, watching TV will make me go to sleep. I cannot stay on the TV watching hours and hours and hours and hours. If you see me doing that, just know, and it's day after day, I am depressed. Okay. Even the sound of the television when it's on and it's just that blue light, it feels like it's like a sound, and it really makes me go to sleep, y'all. Don't know why, but it's always been like that even as a kid. So but yeah, you will do that. You'll see that you have to protect, and you have to understand how to protect your protect yourself and protect your investment and get in alignment. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully that has helped you guys on your journey out here. If you want to share in the comments, feel free to share. I know a lot of people will send me they send me emails. So I'm like wondering, are you able to even see? I know I've been on this channel for a couple of years, and just telling my story and telling my truth, you know, and the algorithm has not been the best for me. But I'm okay, because I do believe that God works and he's in control of everything. And whoever needs to hear the messages that I proclaim and the things that I put out into this world will hear them, because everything is scripted according to God's plan, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. Okay, there's a order, there's a sequence, and there's an order that is here. Even chaos has order. Okay, it has an order. So I'm okay with people not seeing it, as long as the right people and the people that need to see it gets to see it. And so that's okay. So hopefully this message has helped you guys on your journey. Hopefully something I said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem, y'all. I'm out. Bye.